In many missing person cases, investigators are left with almost nothing. No witnesses, no physical evidence, no clear timeline. But in a small number of cases, there is something far more disturbing than silence. A final message, a phone call placed in fear, a voicemail that ends abruptly, a text message that raises more questions than it answers. These last communications are not dramatic speeches or carefully planned goodbyes. Most of the time, they sound ordinary at first. Casual words, familiar voices, normal conversations. And that is what makes them so unsettling. Because minutes or hours after these messages are sent, the person disappears. No one knows whether they realized what was about to happen. No one knows whether they understood the danger they were in. All that remains is the recording, frozen in time, capturing the final known moment of their existence. Technology was supposed to make disappearances impossible. Phones track locations, messages leave timestamps, calls can be traced and analyzed. But these cases prove that even with modern tools, people can still vanish without explanation. Families replay these messages again and again, searching for hidden meaning. Investigators analyze tone, background noise, and word choice. Experts debate what the person might have been experiencing in those final moments. And yet, answers never come. Today, we are examining real cases where the last known message remains one of the most haunting pieces of evidence. These are not theories or internet rumors. These are documented communications that exist but fail to explain what happened next. As you listen, imagine hearing these messages in real time. Imagine knowing that after the call ended, after the message was sent, the person would never be seen again.
In August of 2013, Brandon Lawson disappeared in a remote area of Texas after calling 911 late at night. What makes this case especially disturbing is that the call itself was recorded, and it still exists today. Brandon had been driving when his truck ran out of fuel along a highway. Instead of staying with the vehicle, he walked into the surrounding darkness. The area was isolated with rough terrain and limited lighting. When Brandon called emergency services, his voice sounded frantic and confused. He claimed that people were chasing him. At times, his words were difficult to understand, distorted by poor signal and panic. He told the dispatcher that he was bleeding and in danger. Then, suddenly, the call ended. Police responded quickly and located Brandon's abandoned truck. His phone was later recovered nearby, but Brandon himself was gone. Search teams scoured the area using dogs, helicopters, and volunteers. They searched fields, riverbeds, and nearby properties. Despite extensive efforts, no trace of Brandon Lawson was ever found. Audio experts later analyzed the 911 call. Some believe Brandon may have been hallucinating or experiencing paranoia. Others argue that the dispatcher misunderstood his words due to static and stress. What remains undeniable is this: Brandon believed something was happening to him. His fear was real, his call was real, and yet it did not save him. To this day, his disappearance remains unexplained.
Jennifer Kessie disappeared in January 2006 after failing to show up for work in Orlando, Florida. Her family immediately knew something was wrong. Jennifer was responsible. She stayed in contact with her parents daily. She never disappeared without explanation. When police entered her apartment, everything looked normal. There were no signs of a struggle. Her personal belongings were untouched, but Jennifer was gone. Days later, her car was found parked at a nearby apartment complex. Surveillance cameras captured footage of the person who parked it, but in every frame, the individual's face was perfectly hidden behind fence posts. Before her disappearance, Jennifer had spoken with family and coworkers. Nothing in her final conversations suggested fear or danger. There were no warning signs, no cryptic messages. One detail stood out. Jennifer's phone was turned off shortly after she vanished, something her family says she never did under any circumstance. Despite massive media attention, extensive searches, and years of investigation, no arrests have ever been made. Jennifer Kesse has never been found. Her final communications are haunting, not because of what they contain, but because of how ordinary they were. Ray Gricar was a district attorney in Pennsylvania with years of experience in law enforcement. In 2005, he vanished under circumstances that raised immediate suspicion. Before disappearing, Ray conducted internet searches related to deleting computer data. Shortly afterward, he drove to a nearby park. His car was later discovered abandoned. Days later, his laptop computer was found submerged in a river, severely damaged and unrecoverable. No suicide note was found. No body was recovered. No clear explanation emerged. Ray Gricar had access to sensitive information. Some believe he was protecting something. Others suspect foul play. But without evidence, every theory remains speculation. His last known digital actions only deepened the mystery. Today, we are examining real cases where the last known message remains one of the most haunting pieces of evidence. These are not theories or internet rumors. These are documented communications that exist, but fail to explain what happened next. As you listen, imagine hearing these messages in real time. Imagine knowing that after the call ended, after the message was sent, the person would never be seen again. In April 2006, Brian Schaefer went out with friends to a bar in Columbus, Ohio. Surveillance cameras recorded him entering the building. They never recorded him leaving. Brian's phone activity stopped shortly after that night. His last messages to friends showed no distress, no fear, no sign that anything was wrong. The bar was crowded. Exits were monitored. Investigators reviewed footage repeatedly, yet no clear moment of departure was ever identified. Despite years of investigation, Brian Schaefer has never been found. His final communications remain chilling because nothing seemed out of place. What remains undeniable is this: Brandon believed something was happening to him. His fear was real, his call was real, and yet it did not save him. To this day, his disappearance remains unexplained. These cases remind us that sometimes the last thing a person leaves behind is not an answer, but a question. A voice on a phone line, a message frozen in time, a normal conversation that ends too soon. Technology records these moments, but it cannot explain them. Messages survive, even when the people who sent them do not. Families replay these final communications endlessly, hoping to hear something they missed. Investigators analyze every second, and still, the truth remains out of reach. If stories like these stay with you long after the video ends, this channel exists to explore real mysteries that remain unsolved, not to sensationalize them, but to understand them. Subscribe to continue exploring unexplained disappearances, final messages, and cases that refuse to be forgotten. And tell us in the comments, which final message disturbed you the most, and why?